Hello, everyone, and welcome to Offstage Talks, the series where we deep dive with the creative mind shaping our industry. I'm your host, Sandro Javashvili, and today we have a truly special guest, a man whose work has defined brands and shifted cultures. He's the fearless mind behind Burger King's most iconic campaigns and the man who made Dove's Real Beauty sketches a real cultural reset. He's been called the grand brand genius by Edwick and one of the most influential CMOs in the world by Forbes. Please join me in welcoming Fernando. We all wish he was our client Machado.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to join you guys today.
Thank you for joining us at Black Sea, and you have your fair share of experience with most prestigious events, such as from the shores of Cannes to shores of Batumi. What is your first impressions of Georgia, Batumi, and at Black Sea Festival itself?
I really enjoyed coming here, and it was a long one in the making. I think that the first time we spoke about coming to Black Sea was like 2 years ago. Last year, unfortunately, I had another commitment and couldn't make it. But this year, as promised, I came and I was here. And even before coming here, like since the very beginning, the first time the team approached me, I felt like the people here were like very welcoming. Like they all like very much like concerned about us coming and having a good time and connecting with others and having a truly great experience. And I realize now that that's a common factor among the whole population of Georgia. It's a very hospitable country with great people, beautiful place. And it was amazing to come here and be exposed to the amazing work of the region.
Uh, Thank you for kind words. I would argue that there are not many agencies who would not want to work with you. And as you have said and shown many times, you trust in creativity, right? Which in its own right becomes a source of competitive advantage. It sounds easy just to trust creativity, but I bet there are lots of battles to be fought, maybe within the company, as business always demands quick numbers. And there are always people in the board who want to achieve fast results. What would your advice be to many local CMOs? How can they champion creativity within the company?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's never easy, right? I mean, creativity inherently is about doing things that might be a little bit different than what other people do. It might be a little bit different than what you've done before. And every time you're trying to do something that's a little bit different, there'll be a little bit more uncertainty, right? I mean, else you would be just doing the same old, and then you would have less uncertainty because you would kind of know how that would work, or you would hope to know how that would work because it would probably not work as well year after year. And when uncertainty kicks in, like fear also kicks in, and that's why it's difficult, right? I mean, it's much easier for us to react positively to something that feels familiar than for us to react positively to something that's very different. I also think that you touched on the point that one of the key challenges that we have as CMOs, as marketing people, is to balance the short term with the long term, right? I mean, there is plenty of evidence out there that shows that the brands that, and the brands is here for the long run, right? I mean, it's not just for tomorrow, but like the brands that do the best job on the long run, which is what should really matter, they find the balance, right? I mean, depending on the brand, depending on the category, the balance may be slightly different. Maybe in the beginning of your journey as a CMO or as a marketing person, you do need to focus a little bit more on the short term so you can deliver those results so that you can start building your credibility. And then as results come, you can start to think more about the long term and you start to shift the equation to achieve the balance. It's very hard for any CEO or any CFO or any board to really like decide to invest heavily on things that will only pay off on the long run if the situation at the moment is not good, right? So every time I step into a new role or that I start to work as a consultant with a new brand, I really push to make sure that we're doing the job on the short term. Because if you feel the pressure, imagine the pressure that the CEO has, right? And then as we deliver that and we build our credibility as a team and we try to do things a little bit more creative, we also start to strive strive to have a better balance between short term and long term. But it's a journey, you know.
So basically, it's first you have to clean up the room, and
Yeah.
then
Like imagine if you're the CEO and your brand is doing minus 10% growth, right? I mean, and your profitability is at risk. Like you're probably not going to engage with something that is unproven and that may pay off or not in 2, 3 years from now, right? I mean, it's almost like the Maslow pyramid of the CEO. You need to like first deliver the bread and butter before you can dream for bigger dreams and more ambition.
and I think it would be also very important to for the whole brand to act as a one organism because, as you have stated in many of your speeches, like product also has to deliver
Yeah.
the brand's promise. Yeah.
Everything. Like I think that every single touch point is an opportunity to communicate and is an opportunity to land the brand positioning. Sometimes people think a lot about advertising as a way to communicate, but your design communicate. Like the way you write your press release communicates. The way you react to a crisis communicates. The point of sales material communicates. Like the way your call center answer the calls communicates. Your app, your logo, everything communicates. So, and many times, good landing the right message, our own brand message in a touch point is the same cost, is the same price as landing one that it isn't, right? I mean, if you think about communication and landing brand positioning in a holistic way, not just with advertising. So I really push hard to look at every single element that consumers will touch and make sure that your positioning breed that innovation, that like what claims you have, how you talk about your products. That's all super important. And the more everything is connected to the brand, the better it will be because consumers will see the brand in a more homogeneous way, yeah, holistic way across all touch points.
And when we talk about these long journeys, it's also very important that going to the places where no brand or man has gone before, it's also very important to have partners that are trustworthy and you can trust in their creativity. And you on your brand journey have had a number of great agencies at your side. Would it be Ogilvy Brazil, FCB New York, or David Miami? And not just to name a few. What's your secret in seeing such strong sparks? How do you develop such strong partnerships from the day one?
Yeah.
And
Like,
what's your secret of choosing which
yeah.
agency should do this job?
Yeah, partnership come like a real partnership, it's built over time, right? Trust is built over time. So I think I was lucky enough to work with some amazing people throughout my career, and being able to spend some time like doing the work and spend some time on the brand, and with that also develop a relationship with different creative partners. Like when I used to work for Unilever, I could not necessarily like choose the agency. The agency was assigned to the brand, and like I had like great partners, even though I was not the one who chose them, and great relationships were built from there. Like you mentioned Hugo with São Paulo, right? I mean Hugo, who is also here. I had the opportunity to work with him and Diego, who was his partner when they were like at Hugo with São Paulo. Anselmo Ramos was at Hugo with São Paulo. Then Hugo and Diego left to AKQA, and I continued to work with them on AKQA. Anselmo left Ogilvy São Paulo to open David as a spin-off from Ogilvy within WPP. I hired David Miami to do work for Burger King at first. Then David Brazil was already doing work for Burger King in Brazil. Um, then other countries that work on the Burger King system, right, also had their own local agencies. And I was always very involved. I always invested a lot of time, like getting to know the agency, understanding the agency, making sure that the agency understood like what I was going through and what were my needs and what sort of pressure I was receiving, because that's how you build partnership, right? I mean, partnerships and trust are built on empathy. And I think to have empathy, you need to understand each other. So I invested always, like, from my early days in Unilever, like I completed disproportionate amount of time in those relationships. And I think if you are in the industry for more than 20 years, like you end up like getting to know lots of people, right? And I'm always very curious about who did the work, what was the production company, what was the director, what was the photographer. And every time I saw something that I thought was outstanding, I tried to get to know the people behind it, behind the work, right? For other brands, not just for my brand. And I think that because of that, over time, I developed like a good knowledge. Not that I don't pretend that I know everything, but I know lots of people and I know a lot about the type of work that people do. And then, depending on the brand I am, the profile, the culture of the company, I may choose different partners, like because it needs to be a marriage. You need to work on both sides, money wise, culture wise. And I think that, as I said, like over time, I think that today I know a lot of people and becomes easier to choose, like thanks to that.
And your speech was titled "Be Afraid but Do It," right?
Yes.
And you have been doing groundbreaking work starting from Unilever and towards Activision Blizzard, and now with startups. Uh, would you share what was the moment you were most afraid? Still ahead.
I was afraid every time because, like, to me, like one of the key words that I always use is the word journey. It's a journey. Like when you're starting your journey, even if what you're doing is like jumping from 1 meter height, it's scary. What I mean, because the company is not used to jump, and you're maybe new to that brand, so you don't even know if it's 1 meter. You don't know what the height it is, and then on year 2, 3, you're jumping from higher points, and then you look back and you feel like, oh, we were afraid of that, but like today that looks small in comparison to, and then you keep pushing the boundaries, keep pushing the boundaries. So um, it's like I can talk to you about what the industry considers to be like some of the most brave work. Or the work that people would be most afraid, including myself. But reality is that I was always afraid. You know what I mean? Like, because I was always pushing and pushing and pushing. So even on year 1, when I look at the work that I did for Burger King or Activision Blizzard or even Dove, um, and from the new vantage point from where I am today, I feel like, oh, that was not risky at all. But back then, it looked like risky. Exactly. But I think that things like Moji Whopper or Whopper the Tour, which is sending your consumer to a competitor, or or like even Dove Real Beauty Sketches or Camera Shy, which is also a Gold Lion in Cannes. All those campaigns,
Steven and Challenge also.
burning stores, like which is a Grand Prix in print, like they were all, or like Male Haters, which we did for Notco. They all made me very scared, and I think that at the same time, because I trained my brain to work that way, they also made me, as an idea, even before we executed, made me and the team very excited, right? So the two things, they come hand on hand. I'm scared because I know that, like, it's different. And if it's different, is what we should be doing, right? Because I think that marketing is a lot about building brand difference, or building differentiation, or calling out your difference to the world. But different also comes with uncertainty that leads to fear. And I think that that's why the presentation was called "Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, but Do It."
And I guess also bravery is when you're the only one who knows that you're afraid, right? So you have to show this calm face.
Well, more or less, the team knew that we were all scared, like, but we were scared and excited, And I think that I'm very proud of the cultures that I was able to build or be part of in all marketing teams that I worked with. Like I think that we all become collectively more ambitious when it comes to creativity, and we all start to understand that it's okay if you are a little bit afraid. Like I remember when I was at Burger King, one of the biggest compliments I ever received, I think it was from Jose Seal when he was the CEO. He came to me one day and he said, "You made us more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable." So even the CEO and the CFO, they understood that that was required, that we should embrace our like the feeling of being afraid, of being uncomfortable, if you wanted to do something that would truly stand out in the marketplace.
Yeah, I remember in one of the podcasts you spoke about how you presented the idea of Burger Detour, and they had to
It
remember
was the
that they
CEO and
laughed.
the
Yeah,
CFO, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, but you see, like that idea or Modi Whopper or even sketches, if we try to do them on year one of the journey, most likely I would not be able to. Like so for the CMOs out there, it's not about like being reckless and like putting a lot of money on something that's a big risk. You need to pave your way like into being able to do that type of work.
Yes, and in today's world, I think you have mentioned that standing out isn't a nice to have thing, it's a way to survive. What's your opinion on key difference between idea that just gets noticed and the idea that leaves a mark and changes cultures?
Well, I think that getting noticed is the first step, right? I mean, if like I showed yesterday on the presentation a quote from Bill Bernbach, which is if your advertising doesn't get noticed, everything else is academic, right? I mean, if you don't get noticed, what's the point, right? I mean, I always tell the teams like I don't have enough money to be boring. You know what I mean? Like I need to do something that will stand out. And many times I did things that like it's very hard for you to perfectly predict that something will become a cultural phenomenon and will change society and culture, right? I mean, it'll be lying to you if I said like, oh yeah, I know exactly what it. No, like I'm aiming for. I have my brand positioning, I have my strategy, I have an objective that's hopefully measurable to go with whatever activity I'm doing. And yes, I want to get noticed because I want that message to cut through. Sure, there are some ideas that you may have a feeling that they could be huge and become a cultural phenomenon and a point of talkability globally, but it's impossible to be 100% sure. So I see that almost like as a consequence. And the more you do it, the more you exercise the brand positioning, strategy, what's your objective, how to measure, going for things that are truly stand out and different, the more you build the muscle. And hopefully, at some point, you will do things that will become a global topic of conversation.
And let's leave a message to those who didn't attend this year's festival. What did they miss, and why should they be first ones in line to get next year's ticket?
Oh, it's a shame. You should have come. Like, but in all seriousness, like I live super inspired. You know what I mean? Like, with the work that I saw, the work that I judged. I'm looking forward to the award ceremony tonight. The talks were amazing. You have like really high caliber people talking about the topics that are truly hot at the moment, whether it's AI or to hear about how the production of flow has been done, or to hear from different creative people, or to understand how creativity can help in all shapes and forms, like even to give hope when you have countries or periods that are there is oppression and people are feeling uneasy with what's going on out there. I think that creativity can be this torch that brings like light, like and bring people together. And I think that especially this year here on Black Sea, I had that feeling and that vibe. Then you add on top of all that the amazing people and networking opportunities that you have coming here. Like, thankfully, you're watching this and you'll be able to watch many other things about the festival. But there is no replacement for being here and connecting with the amazing people and seeing like um, how exciting and how innovative and how fresh and how energetic. the community is, and being able to have a live exchange with people here on the festival. So come, I strongly recommend. I hope I come back again.
Thank you, Fernando. It's been an honor.
No, my pleasure. Thank you.